Hello, student. And now we are moving forward, discussing our next topic of PT365 Vision IS, and this has been focusing the UPSC Prelims 2026. So let's get it started. The article talks about United Nations High Seas Treaty. The High Seas Treaty, that is marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdictions. Actually, we are aware of that we have the exclusive economic zone, which is of 200 nautical miles, and beyond that, we got the international boundaries. We have the international boundaries, and that is called international waters, which is also termed as high seas. And there was an agreement to control these high seas because nobody has claim over the high seas. So there was an agreement which is officially known as BBNJ agreement, which is also known as High Seas Treaty, which has been ratified by the 60 countries and will enter into force. About this treaty, which came in 2023, it is a legally binding international treaty under the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea, UN clause. So this is an legally binding international treaty that should be remembered. BBNJ will be third implementation agreement under the UN clause. Others are 1994 Part 9, Part 11 implementation agreement, which the agreement is about exploration and extraction of mineral resources in international seabed area. The other one is 1995 UN Fish Stocks Agreement, which is about conservation and management of straddling and high migratory fish stocks. Overall aim of this agreement is to ensure the conservation and sustainable utilization of marine biological diversity, which is in area beyond national jurisdiction, that is area beyond exclusive economic zone. The implementation ministry will be Ministry of Earth and Sciences, which is mandated to enter into force 120 days after 60 countries will ratify it. India signed treaty, but it has not ratified yet. Members which are not part of the UN clause can also join BBNJ agreement. So the information we have to extract from here is that it is a legally binding agreement which is under the UN clause body. It is a third agreement under UN clause. One was on minerals, other was on fish stocks. This was brought into existence with the aim of conservation and sustainable utilization of marine biological diversity, and it will cover the area which are beyond the exclusive economic zone. The implementation ministry will be Ministry of Earth and Sciences. This is an important fact. There is also important fact that India has signed the treaty, but it has not ratified it. And those who are not part of the UN clause can also join the BBNJ. So question can be asked that India is haven't signed the treaty, or it may ask that India has signed the treaty but has not ratified yet. That could be a option made where it is asked that only the member of UN clause are allowed to join this agreement, So these kind of questions can be framed with this agreement. There is a pillars of the treaty, which is like mechanism for area-based management tools, such as marine protected areas in the high seas. Marine protected areas are clearly defined geographical spaces, recognized, dedicated, managed through legal or other effective means to conserve marine biodiversity and ecosystem. It will also constitute the provision of sharing the financial and non-financial benefits from commercial application of marine genetic resources. There is about capacity building and transfer of marine technology to assist developing countries in knowledge, skills, and technologies so that there could be a more sustainable production and consumption. Environmental impact assessment for high seas activities such as deep sea mining. Exception to the agreements are warship, military aircrafts, fishing and fishing related activities that are regulated under the other relevant international laws. We got the obligation concerning the utilization of MGR and their digital sequence information, which do not apply to the parties' military activities. This is all about the High Seas Treaty. We need to understand about the UN clause also. So, the often called it Constitution of Oceans, which is a primary international treaty governing use of seas and oceans, which is adopted in 1982 and entered into force in 1994. It has right now 171 state parties, which includes India also. They had ratified it. It has the maritime zones like territorial sea, contiguous sea, exclusive economic zone, high seas. So now we will see the according to how in the image given we can easily differentiate between the type of boundaries we had. So consider it as a land, or this one consider it as a land. Now here the sea surface starts, and then this to some depth there is considered a baseline. Baseline is a line from where we start to measure the exclusive economic zone extent. So from baseline only we have until here we got the internal waters. So there is a baseline from where we start to measure our exclusive economic zone until from here to 200 nautical miles we got the exclusive economic zone. From baseline only to 12 nautical miles we have the territorial sea. That is from baseline till 12 nautical mile we have territorial sea. From baseline till 24 nautical miles, or from territorial to 12 nautical miles. There could be a question framed in such a way like from the contiguous zone is 24 nautical miles from baseline, or 12 nautical miles from territorial sea line. Both will be a correct statement. Till territorial sea, this is a national space. Here the sovereignty issues is applied. That is, no ship can enter in our territorial sea. Then beyond 12 nautical miles, that is from baseline to 12 nautical miles, we have full sovereignty. And after that, that is from territorial sea to high seas, we have the international space where the ships can float. Exception are like naval vessels or military vessels. This is the airspace, the area above territorial sea is not considered as a part of area of any country. So here the planes can also pass very freely. And after entering into the territorial sea, they need to take the permission. So this is how the UN clause define the coastal boundaries, the legal water boundaries. We also got the deep seabed mining, that is beyond exclusive economic zone. So it, it it is seabed beyond national jurisdiction, is common heritage of mankind, and it is managed by International Seabed Authority. So these areas managed by this body, International Seabed Authority. There is also a dispute settlement mechanism like International Tribunal for Law of the Sea, ITLOS. It settles the dispute of maritime boundaries. Next topic is Ramsar Convention on Wetlands. There has been a 15th Conference of Parties of Ramsar, which was held in Victoria Fall, that is in Zimbabwe, with theme. The theme becomes important. Theme is protecting wetlands for our common future. So Ramsar Convention, there was a 50th Conference of Parties of Ramsar Conventions, which was held in Victoria Fall, which is in Zimbabwe. It has theme that protecting wetlands for our common future. This becomes an important thing. And now we we didn't see. Okay, we covered it. This is Ramsar Convention or Convention on Wetland. It has its headquarter in Gland, Switzerland, of course, and it is intergovernmental treaty. This keyword becomes an important. It is government. So government bodies are directly a member to this convention. So it is intergovernmental treaty which is formed to conserve and wise use of wetlands. Wise use means that it becomes very subjective. So it has been defined in this convention. It is that maintaining the ecological character of wetland using ecosystem based approach within the context of sustainable development. It is like exploitation of resources, not compromising the present generation, but securing the resources even for the future generation also. Adopted in 1971, Iran, and came into force in 1975. There is 172 countries and India joined it later. It was not part when it was formed, but India joined later in 1982. The contracting parties, the intergovernmental bodies, the government which are the members to it, are mandated to promote wise use of wetland through national plans, legislation, management action, and public education. And that's why we got national wetland rules. There is a mechanism like Ramsar list. It is a list of wetlands which is of international importance, which is important for the geography, which is important for the ecology, overall managing or keeping a balance between the biodiversity and economy of any country. So it is the world's largest network of protected areas, that is wetland, based on meeting at least one of the nine criteria. We got the nine criteria here, and if even one criteria is followed, it becomes an Ramsar site list or Ramsar site. Out of nine criteria, there is representative, rare, unique example of natural and near natural wetland types, support vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered species, or threatened ecological communities. Wetland included in the list acquire a new status of national level and are recognized internationally as being of significant value of humanity. United Kingdom is a country which has most of the sites. The largest site is Rio Negro in Brazil. Sites in India, highest which is highest in Asia. Now we have 96 Ramsar sites. There is a provision of Montrex record. These are the list of Ramsar sites which are facing a ecological change due to human interference. There are two sites of India, Kevladev, which is in Rajasthan, and Loktak of Manipur, has been included in the Montrex record. Chilikalik, which is present in Odisha, was included in this Montrex record list, but later on, because of improving conditions and successful efforts of conservation, it was removed from this Montrex record. There is one more concept of wetland city accreditation. It is like voluntarily accreditation system that provide an opportunity for cities that value their natural or human made wetlands to gain an international recognition and positive publicity. So here we have a kind of like we voluntarily give our names, and so that and we judge it based on the criteria of like of their natural importance or of their significance for tourism or popularity. So we voluntarily give our names, and thus and it is approved by Uruguay in COP 12 of Ramsar Convention 2015. This concept, this wetland, not the given name, but this wetland city accreditation. This concept has been approved at Uruguay in COP 12 at Ramsar Conventions. If any city which has been included in the wetland accreditation city, it does not long last perpetually. It is valid for 6 years, and after which it must be renewed, and provided that if it continues, if fill each of the 6 criteria. We had the 9 criteria for Ramsar sites and 6 criteria for Wetland Accreditation Council. Outcomes of COP15, which is recently held in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. There was a Victoria Fall Declaration. It acknowledges Victoria Fall Declaration acknowledges ecological, social, and economic roles of wetland. Ecological, social, and economic roles of wetland highlights contribution to biodiversity, climate change, mitigation, and United Nations SDG. That we got the 17 SDGs. So how the wetlands are contributing in fulfillment or achieving those sustainable development goals? how they are helpful in climate change mitigation, how they are contributing to the biodiversity. This has been highlighted in the Victoria Falls Declaration. There was a fifth strategic plan, which is from 2025 to 2030, which is to halt and reverse. Halt means to stop the degradation of wetlands and to reverse the degradation which we are already lost or in the urge of losing it. There is the Indo-Burma Ramsar Regional Initiative. Indo-Burma Ramsar Regional Initiative Strategic Plan 2025 to 30 aims to support objective of strategic plan for Ramsar sites. The secretariat was designated to IUCN. It was supported by IUCN's Bridge Building River Dialogue and Governance project. IUCN's Bridge program, it aims to catalyze sustainable development of shared water resources, safeguard water security, conservation, biodiversity, and peaceful cooperation across the borders. The members are Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. India is not the member. The Bridge program. The Bridge program is grants on gender mainstreaming and women leadership. And this becomes an unusual fact. The unusual fact mostly we may not think of that the body like Ramsar site or the conference of parties based on Ramsar Convention will be coming up with this program, Bridge program, which will grant on gender mainstreaming and women leadership. So this is of course an unusual information and should be noted because it may ask that bridge program which focus the gender mainstreaming and women leadership has been a part of conference of parties of Ramsar Convention might be we may not go think of in that way if you're not aware of. So we need to uh, put more focus, more emphasis on these kind of unusual facts because it is obviously that if there is a usual facts we get to guess it while solving the question, but when these are kind of unusual facts are related with any topic then it becomes a catchy. So if we are aware of might be it becomes catchy not only for examiner, it will be catchy for the person who is solving also. He can directly think of that how the body like Ramsar Convention which focus on wetland, how they are going to uh, 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 how they are going to grant a gender mainstreaming, how they are focusing on woman leadership. So this becomes an unusual fact. There is a freshwater challenge which enhance the implementation of convention. Because of that, wetland is considered as a kidney of the earth because wetlands are the bodies which recharge, which filters the water and helps in groundwater recharge, and that is why it is related to freshwater challenge. And there was an endorsement of establishment of global water bird estimates partnership which integrates data sources, build monitoring capacity and provide information for conservation agreement. India's contribution include promoting sustainable lifestyle for wise use of wetland. This was uh, in line with Mission Life, which was passed. This was India's contribution. India was elected as a member of Standing Committee for 2025 to 2028 triennium representing the South Asia region. That is 3 year Indore and Udaipur awarded a wetland city accreditation. That is the wetland city accreditation we talked about. Indore, there is a Sirpur Lake recognized for water bird, and there is Udaipur. We got five major wetlands with Pinchola, Fateh, Rang Sagar, Swarup Sagar, and Doodh Talaiya. There was a new Ramsar site. We got 96 total Ramsar sites. So this becomes an important fact. The new sites include Sili Ser Lake in Rajasthan, Udaipur Lake in Bihar. Do not get confused with Udaipur of Rajasthan. We got Khichan wetland in Rajasthan. We got Minar wetland in Rajasthan, Gogabil in Bihar, Gokul, Bihar, Kopra Jalashay in Chhattisgarh. So the new introductions mainly focused on Rajasthan and Bihar. One from we got from Chhattisgarh. Bihar, we got Udaipur, we got Gogabil, we got Gokul. Sisi, Silisere, Khichan, and Minar. These are from Rajasthan. We do not have to go into that much because this is a location only mainly important. But if any important river canals, if any important species of that wetland, which is very famous in news, so that is also becomes very much important. So Khichan, it is in northern Thar Desert, comprises two water bodies, Vijayasagar and Ratri Nadi. It hosts wintering flocks of migratory cranes. Menar, it is in Udaipur, Rajasthan. Freshwater monsoon wetland complex formed by three ponds. Notable bird species found here are critically endangered white-rumped vulture and long-billed vulture. So this Minar wetland becomes more important because recently we got very much news of vulture controls, vulture revivalism, conservation of vulture. Because of diclofenac and eclofenac chemicals, there was a reduction of huge number of vultures population, and that is why these wetlands become important because we have saw the drastic reduction of vulture population, and that is we can make out from its IUCN designation of critically endangered white-rumped vulture and long-billed vulture. Salisare Lake, Silisare Lake, it is in Alwar district of Rajasthan, semi-arid zone, and it just falls under the buffer zone of Sariska Tiger Reserve. This also becomes an important. Gokul Reservoir, important for black buck, on southern edge of Ganga River. It is a oxbow lake. Udaipur Lake, West Champaran, it is also an oxbow lake. Oxbow Lake. Oxbow Lake are like the lakes which are formed when there are meanders forming because we have saw the movement of rivers are like this, so they flow in like this directions. But in case because there is a lot of erosion in these areas, we got erosion in these areas, and this becomes an closer, this gets closer day by day, and then after some times it forms. This is how the river flows, So coming closer to this this is been joined directly to this, and these area have been get detached from the main river, forming an oxbow lake. This is a sign of river when it is in mature stage. So in mature stage, these river forms and meanders and oxbow lakes. Global Gogabil, sorry, it is an also Bihar oxbow wetland. First community reserve of Bihar, form the flow of Mahananda and Kanhar north and Ganga in the south and east. Kopra Jalashay, which is in Chhattisgarh, is also included in the new Ramsar sites. The other wetlands which were in use are Vembanad Lake. It is a largest brackish tropical of Kerala. Third largest waterfowl population in India is found here. Vembanad Col is a Ramsar site. Vembanad Lake has been asked in the previous year examination, so it becomes an important information. Dal Lake or simply Dal Lake, it is in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, and on the right bank of Jhelum. It is fed by Ara River and which flow in the northern extremity through dark and deep channels like Telpal. Next topic is coral bleaching. Most of the people often get confused that corals are plant or animal. So let me clear it that corals are animals which is a relation with algae, that is plant, that is called zooxanthellae, and there is a symbiotic relationship with them. Algae being a plant provide an oxygen to this corals polyps, and polyps in return give carbon dioxide to algae for doing of photosynthesis. So thus they are both depending on each other. Corals do not have a color of their own. They get the color from the algae, and based on that the colors differentiate. Now we discuss the coral bleaching. Bleaching means removal of color, loss of color in the corals, and after that sometimes they even tends to die. We got Australia experienced a coral bleaching event as a part of fourth mass coral bleaching event, which is started in 2023, marked by most insane marine heat waves. We got a Great Barrier Reef, which is in north of the Australia, and it is considered as the largest population of corals in the world. The area covers a lot of varieties of corals and huge population of coral reefs. And there was a loss in, or there was a bleaching of corals because of marine heat waves. Because the most effect which causes a coral bleaching is rise of temperature. Now we'll discuss about the corals. The coral are invertebrate animals, of course. This is called polyps that live in symbiotic relation with algae called zooxanthellae that provide them with nutrients through photosynthesis. Generally classified as either hard coral, the coral which builds the reef, or soft corals. Unlike hard coral, corals do not have calcium carbonate skeleton. Hard because they have calcium carbonate skeletons. Types of coral reef: we got fringing reef attached to shores. We got barrier reef. This is what we talked about, the Great Barrier Reef, separated from the coast by a lagoon. And we got atoll reef. It is a ring-shaped coral reef, we, which is we observe in Lakshadweep. Optimal condition for the coral formation is 23 to 29 degrees Celsius. It requires a clear and shallow water which has less than 50 meters from sunlight penetration, and it requires a stable salinity. Clear means the sediments here should be very low. Coral bleaching, it occurs when corals are stressed by changes in temperature, light, nutrition, or expel symbiotic algae living in their tissue, which is causing them to turn completely white and die eventually due to loss of nutrition resources. What are the significance of coral? They support 25% of all marine species. This itself tells their significance, how significant they are for the stabilization, uh, for the for the development of overall marine biodiversity and ecosystem, thus supporting 25% of all marine species, which includes the filter feeders. Filter feeders means those animals which filters out the contaminations. They contain the sponge-like bodies, and they absorb uh, these nutrients from the water, and then they filter it out. The they filter the nutrition like that, you can say of. It's like sponge which filters it out. Which protection of coast? It also protect the coast from storm erosion. It is also an economic value related to tourism and fisheries also. Coal conservation tech. We got the biorock. Biorock or it is it uses electrical current to stimulate coral formation with deposition of calcium carbonate. This is we call it biorock. We got 3D printed reef structures. Coral cryopreservation. Cryopreservation means preserving corals at a very low temperature, that is minus 273 degrees Celsius approx, so that the biological activities should be stopped, and the corals in future, if any kind of coral species die, they might be reintroduced in the suitable environment conditions. This is what we talk about the future restoration. Then Philippines coral larva cryobank to preserve reef biodiversity by freezing coral seeds. This is a coral triangle. This is area what we talked about, the north of the Australia, and here the large population of coral is present. Distribution globally, more than one third located in Australia, Indonesia, and Philippines. This is coral triangles. One third of overall global corals is found here. It is the world's largest coral reef system. There is a Great Barrier Reef in Australia that we already talked about. In India, Andaman and Nicobar group of islands contains the corals. Lakshadweep, Gulf of Kutch, Gulf of Mannar, Park Bay, Maharashtra. This is the area where we got the corals in India. There is a coral triangle in Amazon of the seas, the world's richest marine biodiversity hotspot. So this is all about today's discussion. The next other topics will be discussed in later videos. Thank you for watching.